Many people think a famous myth about Napoleon is true. They believe he was very short. Pictures often show him as a tiny man, full of anger. This idea came from his enemies. British cartoonists drew him as small to make fun of him. They wanted to make the powerful French emperor seem less scary. That image stuck in books, movies, and popular speech. The phrase Napoleon complex comes from that idea. It describes people who act aggressively to compensate for being short. It's powerful propaganda. But the truth is different. Napoleon was not actually short for his time. He was about 5 feet 7 inches, 1.7 meters. That was average for early 1800s France, and standing beside his very tall guards made him look shorter. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15, 1769. His birthplace was the town of Ajaccio on the island of Corsica. This island had become part of France only a year before his birth. His family was of Italian nobility but not very wealthy. His father, Carlo, a lawyer, and his disciplined mother, Letizia, shaped him. He was the second of 8 children to reach adulthood. Noble status opened doors to a French education. At 9, he went to Audun, spoke with a thick Corsican accent, and was mocked. In 1779, he entered the military academy at Brienne. He excelled in mathematics and history and read about great leaders, Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar. A schoolyard tale has him organizing a snowball battle like a general, a glimpse of his emerging will and tactics. The French Revolution began in 1789. It changed everything and opened doors for ambitious young officers. Nobles fled, leaving vacancies in the army. Napoleon, talented and driven, stepped forward. In 1793, Toulon rebelled and admitted British and Spanish warships. The artillery chief fell. 24-year-old Napoleon took command. He targeted the high ground overlooking the fleet. From there, his guns battered the enemy into retreat. Toulon fell back to the Republic. He was promoted to brigadier general and hailed a hero. In October 1795, royalists marched on the government. Paul Barras turned to the Toulon victor. Napoleon seized and positioned artillery fast. A whiff of grape shot crushed the attack and made him powerful in Paris. The Directory gave him command of the Army of Italy. His army was hungry, ill-equipped, and unpaid.
He told them, "Soldiers, you are naked, ill-fed. I will lead you into the most fertile plains in the world, rich provinces, great cities. There you will find honor, glory, and riches."
He moved fast, struck before foes could unite, and beat them one by one. At Arcole, repeated attacks failed and men hesitated. He grabbed a flag, led the charge, fell into a marsh, and was pulled out, but inspired his army. They took the bridge and won. In under a year, he defeated Austria and Italy, seized cities, forced peace, and sent money and art to Paris. He became France's most celebrated general. It showcased strategy, inspiration, and political skill. He was no longer just a general. He was a power in his own right. After Italy, his popularity worried Paris. Egypt kept him powerful and far. He aimed to cut Britain's route to India and plant French power in the Middle East, following Alexander eastward. He brought over 150 scientists, engineers, scholars, and artists to study history, culture, and geography. They made major discoveries, including the Rosetta Stone, whose hieroglyphic, Demotic, and Greek texts unlocked ancient Egypt. After landing, they marched on Cairo, near the Great Pyramids.
"Soldiers, from the height of these pyramids, 40 centuries look down on you."
Infantry squares crushed the Mamluk charge at the Battle of the Pyramids. Cairo fell, but a disaster loomed at sea. Nelson destroyed the French fleet, a catastrophic defeat. Napoleon was stranded, winning on land, but missing strategic goals. Hearing of turmoil at home, he abandoned the army in 1799 and slipped back to Paris. A greater chance at power awaited him, forging a new France. By 1799, the government was weak, corrupt, and despised. Plotters sought his help. He meant to take power himself. On November 9th, He overthrew the government. The consulate was formed, with Napoleon as first consul. He posed as Republican, ruled as a military dictator, and restored order. He ended infighting, offered amnesty, and stabilized France. In 1800, he won at Marengo, secured borders, and brought peace. A vote made him first consul for life.
I am the ancestor.
In 1804, another plebiscite cleared the way. He declared himself Emperor of the French. On December 2nd, he took the crown from the Pope and placed it on his own head, then crowned Josephine. The Republic was over. The Empire had begun. The Napoleonic Code, his most influential creation, debuted in 1804. It replaced a patchwork of customs with one coherent national law. Justice became more uniform and accessible. It enshrined equality before the law and merit. Birth and religion no longer determined a man's rights. It protected property, vital to the rising middle class. It ended the remnants of feudalism. Clear and logical, it spread across Europe and influenced legal systems worldwide. He centralized government, ruling via powerful prefects. He created lycées to train leaders through merit, discipline, and civic education. He pushed the metric system, making trade simpler and fairer. He knew details, quizzed ministers, and built a modern, efficient, powerful state. Despite his genius, ambition led to ruin. He invaded Russia after the Tsar defied his blockade of Britain. Over 600,000 marched east. The Russians refused battle and burned supplies. Moscow was abandoned and aflame. No shelter. Winter closing in. The retreat became a catastrophe of hunger, cold, and constant attacks. Of 600,000, fewer than 100,000 escaped. His enemies united and beat him at Leipzig in 1813. They invaded and captured Paris. He abdicated. He was exiled to Elba. In March 1815, he escaped, marched to Paris, and regained the throne without a shot. The 100 Days. June 18, 1815, near Waterloo. He faced the British and Prussians under Wellington and Blucher. There were no second chances. The wars were over. Exile and legacy. The legend of St. Helena. After Waterloo, the British chose the tiny, windswept island of St. Helena, far from Europe. He arrived in October 1815 with a few loyal followers. He spent 6 years in a damp, uncomfortable house called Longwood. He gardened, read, and dictated memoirs, shaping his own legacy. He cast himself not as a tyrant or warmonger, but as a defender of revolutionary ideals. He claimed his wars were defensive and his goal a peaceful, united Europe. He painted himself as a martyr to liberty, a powerful legend. Napoleon died on May 5, 1821, aged 51, officially stomach cancer. Theories later suggested arsenic poisoning. Buried on St. Helena, his remains returned to Paris in 1840 with great ceremony. He lies at Les Invalides, his tomb a national shrine. Reports of remarkable preservation fed the myth. His tactics shaped generals, his code shaped laws and the modern state, but his wars brought vast suffering.